You're watching The Legal Breakdown. Glenn, we have a really dangerous story that is building up right now, and that is that a judge in Manhattan properly ruled that Elon Musk and his Doge Commission would be temporarily restricted from being able to access government systems that are used to process trillions in dollars of payments. Elon took to Twitter writing, "A corrupt judge protecting corruption. He needs to be impeached now." And so now this is the new rallying cry on the right, that any judge that issues a ruling that very correctly prevents overreach from Elon Musk and the Doge Commission needs to be impeached. Can I have your reaction first and foremost to the legitimacy, the validity of Elon calling for this judge to be impeached?
Yeah, this is like Elon Musk sort of rounding up a posse of lawless thugs saying the rule of law doesn't matter. The sanctity of federal judges and the responsibility federal judges have to keep, for example, a runaway executive branch or legislative branch in check by applying the rule of law to it doesn't matter. The Constitution doesn't matter. If you disagree with something that Donald Trump and his co-president Elon Musk are trying to do, we are coming after you in the most lawless way. We're going to ask that you be impeached, that you be removed from office, that you at least figuratively be dragged off the federal bench by the scruff of your black robe. This is lawlessness run amok. And, you know, when Elon Musk says something like, "This is a corrupt judge acting corruptly," that is stone cold bullshit. That is a judge in New York, a federal judge in the Southern District of New York, applying the facts and the law to a question of whether things should be temporarily frozen, whether there should be a temporary injunction or a temporary restraining order issued to put a stop to the potential lawlessness of Elon Musk and his band of frat boys getting into our, among other things, PII, personal identifying information, our financial information. This is stuff that these, part-time government employees or, temporary government employees, limited purpose government employees are not permitted to access. And I'll tell you, I think the federal bench is showing that it will stand strong. It will not cater or kowtow to Elon Musk / Donald Trump's lawlessness. And, Brian, this is not the only temporary restraining order or injunctive relief being granted. It's being granted in court after court by judge after judge. And we may talk in a few minutes about another judge in D.C. and compare and contrast how they're dealing with that Trump-appointed judge's temporary restraining order, issued at virtually the same time as Judge Engelmeyer, the federal judge in New York, his injunctive relief. We'll talk about the differences there. But I'll tell you, this is lawlessness run amok. And, this is something that the federal bench will not stand for, should not stand for. And the federal bench is showing itself to be a bulwark against Trump and his co-president Elon Musk's lawlessness.
Glenn, just for posterity here, what is the bar to impeach a judge? Just so that folks who are watching right now have an understanding of whether Elon can even be successful at doing the things that he's trying to do.
It's a fairly high bar. In order to impeach a federal judge, the Congress would have to go through the exact same exercise it went through when they impeached Donald Trump, let's see, once, twice. I think it was just twice, right? First, the Congress votes out one or more articles of impeachment, somebody who is, has essentially committed high crimes and misdemeanors. If a federal judge is completely running amok, then they can impeach the judge in the House of Representatives. They can take that article of impeachment, think of it like almost like a criminal charge. If this were a criminal case, hand it off to the Senate, and the Senate would then have to hold a trial for that federal judge and decide if that article of impeachment was proven and if it takes a 2/3 vote in Congress to remove somebody, and then they would have to vote to see if they wanted to convict that judge at the conclusion of the Senate impeachment trial. Of course, Donald Trump was impeached twice by the House of Representatives, but was convicted neither time by the Senate.
Right. So it would take a simple majority to vote out the articles of impeachment. Republicans do have that in the House. It would take 2/3 of the majority in the Senate, which they, of course, don't have. Glenn, to that point, does anything that Judge Engelmeyer did here rise to the level of, I wouldn't even say high crimes and misdemeanors, even rise to the level of improper rulings? Is anything that he did here improper?
No, Brian, it is heartland proper. It's exactly what judges are supposed to do. Take a request to basically freeze things, maintain the status quo, because that really is all injunctive relief or a temporary restraining order is. It says, look, there may very well be illegality going on here. So what I'm going to do, because the plaintiffs made an adequate showing that what Elon Musk and company are doing is wrong, I'm going to freeze everything, and I'm going to set another hearing for the future where we can drill down, maybe take some evidence, hear some argument, and make a decision as to whether Elon Musk and his frat boys should be given all of the nation's information that is held, tightly held, closely held, and protected by law at the United States Treasury. This is exactly what judges are supposed to do, and there is not a hint or a whiff that Judge Engelmeyer did anything wrong or overstepped his judicial authority in any way. But that doesn't matter to Trump, Musk, and the rest of them. They are hell-bent on flooding the zone with illegality, continuing to cram this stuff down the throats of the American people. The courts, they're hoping, I would say cram it down the throats of Congress, but Congress has already laid down and given up, it seems. Yeah. And you know, that is their hope, that the federal courts get overwhelmed and can't put even a temporary stop to this suspected illegality, but the courts are proving otherwise.
Do you have any concern that this pressure campaign being waged by folks on the right who have the biggest megaphone on the planet are gonna have some type of a chilling effect on judges who commit the cardinal sin of doing their jobs, as was the case with Judge Engelmeyer here?
No, I don't. And here's why, Brian. Let's shift down to D.C. for just a minute, where at virtually the same time that the New York federal judge was putting a stop to Musk, going in and raiding the Treasury's information about us, a judge down in D.C., Carl Nichols, who happens to be a Trump-appointed judge, was issuing a similar TRO, a temporary restraining order, saying, listen, you're trying to improperly shut down the USAID. And in fact, it's really compelling reading if you want to read the very short order that was issued by Trump-appointed Judge Carl Nichols, saying, and by the way, it looks like there are many USAID workers who are now stranded overseas, Foreign Service officers who are being deprived access to their own emails and computer systems. They are in harm's way, and they're being told, you've got 30 days to get back to the United States, when ordinarily Foreign Service officers under similar circumstances would be given 6 to 9 months. Judge Nichols said, stop it now. I'm issuing a TRO. I'm freezing everything you're trying to do, and I am ordering that those Foreign Service officers will not have to flee and return to the United States on these truncated timelines. And so, listen, I haven't seen Elon Musk say, oh, whoa, that Trump-appointed judge who issued a similar restraining order against Donald Trump's administration, they need to be impeached. It's only the Obama-appointed judge up in New York. And what do you think the motivation for treating those two judges differently might be?
Right. And finally, let's end with this. To that exact point, what do you think these same Republicans, what do you think the Elon Musks of the world would be saying if President Kamala Harris gave George Soros carte blanche to just raid the Treasury to find our personal identifying information, social security numbers, and any other info that he wanted without any oversight or pushback from anybody in Congress? Yeah,
they would say string them up, at least figuratively speaking.
I think at least figuratively is being generous right there.
I'm being generous and I'm being careful there, but they obviously wouldn't stand for it. And here is, one of the end game questions here, Brian. If they can get a, MAGA Mike Johnson-controlled House of Representatives to issue and vote on an article of impeachment for the New York judge who just tried to put a temporary stop to what Musk and Trump are doing, and then they send that over to the House? I mean, might they actually try to go through with a Senate trial? I don't think they'll have the numbers, the requisite 2/3 to convict, but will they put a judge who is simply doing his job through the kind of living hell of a nefarious impeachment and Senate trial on the article of impeachment? It may very well be they do. But here's the thing that I want our viewers to hold fast to, Brian. There are points of light stepping up, and they are federal judges. And I do not believe they will be deterred from continuing to do the right thing because Elon Musk is tweeting about what should happen. If they do, they are standing up, and they are the points of light in this gathering Trump darkness that we are experiencing, and we have to support them, we have to prop them up, and we have to make sure that the points of light continue to grow and gather strength and hold fast to the illegality, because it feels like public sentiment is building. We certainly know, Brian, world sentiment is building against some of what Donald Trump has been saying he wants to do around the world, like in the Middle East. And it is this public and world sentiment that I think will bring more pressure to bear. And we have a saying in the practice of criminal law here in D.C., pressure bursts pipes. So we need to keep the pressure on these guys.
Well, that's perfectly put, and we will continue to do exactly that. For those who are watching right now, if you want to follow along, please make sure to subscribe. The links to both of our channels are right here on the screen. I'm Brian Tyler Cohen.
And I'm Glenn Kirshner.
You're watching The Legal Breakdown.